One. Appreciate you hitting the button. Welcome to the How to Hustle podcast on Hype. This is episode 21. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at I am Hype. That's HYMPE. It's Hype. It's not hype. I'm not geeked up. Episode 21 here. Couple different things are going on now. A lot of episodes in the can, so let's get these announcements done. Mondays, you find me on the X Squad affiliates, 2:00 every Monday. What is it? GTR Radio Network. GTR Radio Network out of Detroit every Tuesday at 2. WTNUphilly.com, 12:30 every Thursday. You find the How to Hustle podcast, and now streaming on all podcast platforms. Search How to Hustle podcast with Hype. Do not just put Hype in. Why the fuck would it just be Hype if the podcast is called How to Hustle podcast with Hype? All right, episode 21. Special guests in the building. Introduce yourself to the audience, gentlemen.
Yo, what up, man? It's Mike, aka OTR Mike on your social media. Is 1/4 of Off the Record podcast. We here, man. Follow us on Twitter and all those good places, man. We appreciate you having us on too, bro.
What up? What up? It's your boy Brandon, aka OTR Brandon, on all your social media platforms. Like Mike said, check us out.
Peace, everybody. It's Quan, aka known as OTR Quan, one of the members of the OTR podcast, and you can check me out on all the social media platforms.
Adjust your mic, Quan. You're a little low. All right, so here we go. You know how this works. Podcast drive through. We get you in and out 30 minutes. The structure of the family. What does the future of the family structure look like? I did an episode a couple of weeks ago. Shouts out to the ladies of Tough Talk Toronto, where it's like they wanted me to speak for all men because it's 3 women. So I'm like, I got you. We talk about whatever you want. And then they asked about these new age younger niggas. I said, hold up. I can't speak for these niggas. I'm not of that generation. I don't know why they think that. Why do you have a half cut and braids? Like, I don't know. Why do you have colored in your hair? I can't speak for that. But as somebody with 2 daughters myself, I want to know, what do we think the future of the family structure looks like? Brandon, we're gonna start with you.
All right, cool. Well, just in general, I mean, you got a lot going on nowadays. Well, at least now it's out in the open. So, I mean, traditionally ideally you'd want we thought that's what the traditional was a husband and a wife and children in a household. But especially for the Black community, I think it's well documented that hasn't been our family structure for quite some time, probably since about 1960, where, predominantly our family structures are headed by women. At least, the father's not, the head of the household. So personally, what I raise my children to be, and what I've been raised on, and what I believe in, is that you have a father and a mother in the household with children. But like I said, with LGBT and a whole bunch of other things that are going on that, to be honest with you, I don't quite understand all of it. I mean, you're seeing households where it might be more than 2 parents, and they might all be of the same gender. So where it's going, man, I don't know. I think every household is going to be different in the future. I really think so. And the way, things are going in culture and the media, what can you say to it? As long as you take care of your own household and what you do doesn't interfere with what I'm doing. Hey, so that's how I see it going.
Quan.
Yeah, man, it's a different day and time that we in, back in those older days, I guess I want to say that the 1950s, the 60s, you had Black families, rooted, sticking together, a strong foundation, one cause, everything that was close knit. Now, shit is different. Shit is different. Not saying that it can't go back to that, but now with our society nowadays in the 2020s and everything that you see with social media and the reality TV, movies, music, the dynamic of the family structure is totally different, and it's just, I don't know, it's just a different foundation. It's a different foundation. So, you have everything. You have blended families, which nothing is wrong with that, whatever you want to do or whatever, however you're raised or however you want to carry when it comes to your family. I guess it's, you know, it's teachers to own, but it's a different days and time. You know, you may have some family members that may grow up with two in the household or one parent in the household, or you may have a family member that may have the mother, the father, you know what I'm saying, the son, daughter, the cat, the dog, the shit, the monkey, everywhere, you know what I'm saying, like the
It's
tattoo.
just chaos.
It's just you know what I mean, it's just everything. You just have so many blended families with different types of structure that it's really hard to kind of pinpoint one modern family, because everything's just different now. But I guess teachers their own though, you know, as long as you stick to your own guns, and if as long as your family is straight, and y'all moving to where you need to move to, whichever pillar that is, if it's religion, foundation, family, finance, whatever. I guess your teachers their own. It's a different day and time though.
Jump in there, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna piggyback off of something Brandon said. Like, I think what we're looking at now for the future is, like, I think gone are the days where they're gonna be able to say the black father is absent. Like, you got 4 black fathers on here right now that's here. You know what I'm saying? And that's there. So
hey, I'm present in the motherfucker. My kid's downstairs right now.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that narrative is gonna be gone. I mean, it was something that was there. It was something that we, especially the black household, went through a point in time, but I think it was overblown as well. You know what I mean? To say that, fathers weren't there or whatever. Maybe they might not have been in the same household, but I think we may be going towards that route now, where, you're going to see more of that, that traditional foundation of the mom, dad, and the kids. Like, I be tripping on my son too, and he'll look at me and his mom, he'll be like, Mom, Dad, Mom, and he'll just do it. Like, he get a kick out of that shit. And I told her, I was telling her, I was like, yo, you don't realize how young they see, you know what I mean? And they realize, like, okay, they both here or whatever, like that. So, I mean, I'm gonna give props to that. I'm gonna give props to us. I think we stepping up. I think dudes is stepping up, man, either way. So I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say it's going that route.
All right, this is what I would say the future of the family structure is. The family structure got fucked up once the men didn't handle their responsibilities. Once dads start going out, say, back in the day, niggas wouldn't get divorced. They would just say, like you said, 50s and 60s, I'm going out for a pack of smokes. Nigga would move across town. He got a whole nother family now. Yep. That is how we got fucked up. That's how we got here with all these different situations. Like, of course, it takes a village to raise a child, but if you got a child in the house with 4 people raising them, like me and my wife and my girl, my baby mom and her baby, like, you blending in too many different ideals against you, because then that turns the child into somebody that plays you against each other. Well, mommy said I could do this. Well, daddy said I could do that. Well, Tyrone said this and Keisha said that. So it puts too much chaos in the situation. We as the men fucked all that up. We have to own that we fucked it up. And it's on us to get this family structures back on tack. Mm-hmm. Like, shit is just supposed to run a certain way. It's just how it goes. Like, when shit doesn't run that way, you run into shit that has problems. You gotta, like you said, you got a single mom or a single father raising these kids. He or she is probably a damaged person if they're now in this situation handling this by themselves. What are they going to raise? Damaged individuals who are going to grow up and have hurt on them that they don't even recognize, because you're not supposed to be perceptive at 19 or at 17 when you going out into the world to start doing shit. Right. But then you go get a woman like your mother or like something that you recognize, and she's a damaged woman, and you're going to have damaged babies. Like, so we can't let it be, it's just so much going on, because basically the future of the family sounds like it's just chaos. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just like, it ain't no rules to the game now. Like, we just doing what the fuck ever. And once you have we just doing what the fuck ever, you get we just doing what the fuck ever results.
Yeah. I mean, yo, that's a good point. I think it's important that another thing that happens too is it's important that we start breaking those toxic ass traits that came down the line in the families. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a group of people out here that feel like, oh, because my dad did this or my mom did that or my uncle did that you got to carry that tradition on, right? And then they're afraid of that backlash, because then, certain family might look at you like, yo, you different. Like, yo, we raised like this.
Like, you said that, though, that could be a good, bad, or indifferent trait. that the
Yeah.
person picking up on, and they just feel like they got to carry it just because that's what they saw. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it's I think, but I do think we get into that point where a lot more of us are willing to try to break that trait too. You know what I mean? I'm hearing that more now, where I'm seeing dudes and women like, yo, like they had to cut certain family off because it just ain't, you know, it wasn't conducive to where they trying to go with their life or how they trying to raise their family. So that's important too. Like some of those traits that were passed down, man, because of what we saw, like that shit got to be broken too.
Well, I think when it comes to, and that's funny you guys said that. I think that's really great to actually bring up breaking and cutting those particular those traits, those characteristics, and breaking those curses that have been passed down from generation to generation. And just like you said, it's been a resurgence of Black men stepping up to want to make sure that their families are protected, make sure that their kids are protected, making sure that they're doing the right thing, you know, for their kids, for the community, for their family. And so just like you said, it all starts with making sure that, you know, we take on that responsibility as for our families and what we want to break those particular curses, you know, the consistency of just being there, you know, hands-on, things like that, you know, maybe something totally different that you have learned that you would want to pass down to, you know, your kids or anything that you want to do in your family with your, you know, with your wife and your children, you know. One thing for me is sitting at the table, you know, for dinner. Like, you know, that's one thing that, you know, for me, which I recently began to understand I mean, I've always understood the importance of it, but that's something that I want to have consistently, you know, with my foundation, with the family that I build, you know what I mean? And you know, what, you know, my lady that I build and our kids, and, you know, I want that. So that's something, like I said, just a generational curse, just kind of the break. You know, I may not have saw it, but that doesn't mean that I can't express that and do the same thing with my family. So,
well, I'm not as willing to throw Black men completely under the bus here, especially when we're talking about like toxic traits. And you mentioned earlier how you feel like Black men should step up, but some of those toxic traits were developed because they were in toxic situations themselves. So, for instance, you talked about some things that we might not want to hand down. Some people call it spanking, corporal punishment, whatever. You know, you don't want to say, "Hey, I'm gonna beat my kid's ass because, you know, I got my ass beat when I was a kid." But you gotta understand, like, I mean, I think it's well documented. I think we all agree that there have been things put in place to kind of hinder Black folks' progress from a socioeconomic standpoint. And so when you compound, you know, all the things that we've gone through, you know, folks could be in very stressful situations, like beating your kids at, trying to keep them in straight back then, because you knew that your parent at the time may have knew how the world was, and they want to make sure that, you know, this is the best way that they knew how to keep in line, or maybe they were raised that way because, you know, their folks was feeling the stress. So I'm not. There are things that Black people in general have to step up and own, you know, men and women. So I'm not going to disagree with you there, but I just think some of these things were passed down for a reason. You're almost like, you know, you are what your environment was. You became what your environmental influences influenced you to be. And so I think going forward, when we talk about those influences, I think, I think people will step farther away from stuff like corporal punishment or hitting or spanking your child. But, you know, there's other influences that come into play now. I think, I don't know. I just think that it's not. I don't think it's fair to completely throw Black men under the bus and just say, you know, it's all on us.
I'm not just. I don't want this. I don't want, and maybe I don't want nobody listening to this to just think that we just talking about Black people.
Okay, okay,
men.
okay.
I'm talking men in general.
Men in general. Okay,
Yeah, men
okay,
in
okay.
general have dropped the ball because this is happening all over everywhere. It's not just us.
Right,
So like, let's not just make this a us thing.
right.
All right, couple things that y'all said that I want to touch on. Uh, certain things that you get passed down are there for a reason. Now, if you was getting beatings to the point where your dad was just stressed out from his job and he's getting his ass whipped mentally and physically at work and he just came home and took it out on you, that's different. If you're teaching your child a structure of the world don't owe you shit, you can't always get what you want. There are consequences when you pour fucking water in the TV, when you
Right.
when you eat some shit that wasn't yours, when you stole something from your mom, or like there's consequences to the world. So I'm not going to send you out into the world again. I'm not going to send you out here at 18, 19, 20, whatever your age, and you're unprepared for the world to slap you in the face and know that like, oh shit, I can't just do whatever it is that I want to do. So you got to understand, like I got 2 girls, but you do some shit that's wrong, you're getting, there's punishment behind this. So that we have that established. Now at 16, I'm not going to be popping my daughters, but as kids, they need to have it understood. Like daddy said, don't touch the stove, then you don't touch the stove. But if you keep letting them go over there and touching it, they're going to burn the shit out of their hands.
Yeah.
Take it to something Quan said. Something that I did with my family was if I'm home, because I was working nights for so many years that we were never home to have dinner at the table. So now it was like, if I'm home, we having dinner at the table. Turn off the TV, put the phone down, because you just sitting there like this. That's not us having dinner. When the structure that you talking about is, let's sit down, talk about what did you learn through the day? What did you get out of the day? What did you see like that is influencing your mind? This is the type of shit you need to know with your kids. And now they got these phones where they're doing God knows what. Where they had the dumbass little thing, it was like a cartoon character telling the kids, take a knife and cut your wrist until the red shit comes out.
Yeah.
So you need to talk to them to see what the fuck is the influence, what's going on in their little mind. Because you don't want it to be, it's another thing people always do. Oh, he's 6, he don't know. Oh, she 4, she don't know. Like Mike just said, my son 2, and he already got that. Some kids pick up on shit and some kids don't, but you always got to be like trying to learn something from these situations. Another thing that we went to too, we kind of just talked about this on episode 20 with BTG. Shout out to the BTG podcast. Just because you didn't have it, like, I get it. If you didn't have, my dad was there until my dad died. Same mom, same dad in the same household. Never seen them have one argument. They was together for 40 some years.
That's what's up.
And so my perspective is different than somebody who comes from a single parent home.
Yep.
But you also come from this single parent home and you also understand that you're missing something there, whether it be your mom or your dad. So it's like you will find the old head as a teacher, your old head, your cousin, somebody's going to be that male influence on you. And you got to be like trying to pick up what it is that you know is right. Like he said, I know we supposed to be sitting here at the dinner table together. We ain't supposed to be, I'm over here, she over here. And like everybody, it's no family structure then. That's how the structure gets fucked up. It's because everybody breaks off into their own little world and everybody on Instagram just scrolling and laughing at shit instead of having real conversations. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, nah. I mean, you hear something on the head too. Like I was blessed to grow up with both of my parents in the same household. So, you know, I don't relate to some people, you know, especially people that came up in a single family home. But I think that, you know, at a point in time, like it's weird, but it was like, yo, you were looked at differently because you had both of your parents. So like they feel like you don't understand certain struggles. And I wouldn't understand what it would be without a parent. Like I'm like you, like until my parents passed away.
I understand, but I can't relate. Like
right.
Because there's plenty of your friends, I'm sure, like mine. We grew up on the same block, and everybody called my mom and dad the mother and the father. So like I understand that he ain't never have his dad or his mom, but I can't relate. But I understand.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Like you definitely understand. I don't like I can't relate to that, but that doesn't mean that I don't understand where you're coming from. And to go, you know, further along with your question, like I mean, I'm still being on that tip. I think men in general, I think with, you know, men in general being more available to accepting mental health issues or getting that looked at, I think men are making that step towards like trying to fix some of this shit that that we might have seen a father or mother or uncle or somebody's shortcomings coming up. So I think we moving in the right direction as far as the future of the family. Like, look, I mean, just to listen to y'all saying like, yo, when I'm home, like, yo, we sitting at the dinner table. Like, that's like those things right there are things that like it's setting the own tone within your own home. And I feel like that's positive right there to just sit here and have people doing that. I think it's different. I think we're gonna have a harder time now, especially with children, than our parents may have had. Because like y'all said early on, like it's so much going on different. Like there's a lot, like these kids now, they're growing up in a world that is about being like open and free, right? So whatever that may be, like you don't they're making those decisions early on. And our parents didn't have to go through that, right? So it's one of those things like we're gonna have to deal with things like understanding certain things when these kids are growing up and decisions they make as far as that. But I think it's moving in the right direction as far as the structure in the households.
Quan, I'm gonna go to you next. All of that comes though again when we drop the ball.
Yeah, no doubt.
If you don't make this phone important to this child, it ain't gonna be important. If you make sure that you got your room clean, like I don't give a fuck what your cousins is doing around there. This ain't that house. You gotta have your shit clean. You gotta have this homework done before you do anything. You're not allowed to do all this shit. Now that can go one of two ways where you was the super strict parent that once they get a little freedom, you know how many of those girls turned out when you was in school. Right. Now they get a little freedom, they go to college, they come back pregnant after the first semester. But it's a balance there, but you have to, the things that you make important are the things that they're gonna see. Like my dad made a thing where you gotta pray. Not even like that he would say, yo, it's time to pray, but he would go in the middle of the floor and go like, he's making salat. So then they told me now at 19, I'm going, he on the floor, he's drawn, he like, why you gotta do like, well, yeah, making a show. Then when I got my own family, it's like, oh, it's because you need to be doing this is more important than the bullshit that you're doing. But if you don't establish this and put that in their face, they only gonna do what you're doing. You sitting on Instagram all day, guess what they're gonna do?
Yep.
Same shit.
It's a fact.
Go ahead, Quan.
No, it is, man. It's a fact. And when it comes to that, it's like this, it's like breaking them off of the tech and taking them away from all of the things that they see, because I mean it does warp their mind, right? And a lot of times when you have to take them off of that and then get them to the basics, it's like they don't know what to do. That's like they're kind of scrambled, you know. And then at the end of the day, when it all just comes down to making sure that you can instill the foundation, the things that they know that they need, that they're going to need to be successful, and that they're going to need to make sure that, you know, they can stand firm, because a fucking phone ain't going to make you stand firm. Social media ain't going to make you stand firm. But understanding the basic, the rules of life, you know what I'm saying? You know, you said praying, understand the importance of prayer, understand the importance of family, understand the importance of being able to sit and talk and to have dialogue, you know, whether if it's, you know, good or not so good, you know, being able to have those particular conversations, being able to teach, you know, those are important things, man. You know,
having discipline, like teaching, having some type of discipline.
You know, and it's like you said, it has to be that, because things come with, if you don't do shit the right way, you know, consequences come with that. You know, like, you know, my son now is playing football, so his thing is like he loves football now. You know, he loves being out there. He loves doing whatever he, you know, wants to do when it comes to the sports perspective of it. But I'm like, yo, you still got virtual learning. You still got to get this shit done. You still got this work that you got to do, you know, and you have to really start. So now he's starting to understand, like, yo, you don't get your work done, you don't play sports.
Hey, you don't get this homework done, nigga. You ain't going outside today.
You ain't going outside today, or you're not going to practice today. You know what I'm saying? So like, and now he's starting to understand it, and it's like, yo, you know, you're getting up to that age now to where it's like, you know, you first and foremost, you weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth. So like, let's get that shit squared away now. You know, everything that you do, you're gonna have to work for. Of course, I'm gonna make sure that I instill and put, things in order for you and make sure that you have some fun and do, fun things, all that. But at the same
Some
time,
kid shit,
some
yeah.
kid shit, but you also got to understand the rules and the discipline. You got to have that. It's important. And it's like, when you're young, you don't really realize that. Like, you kind of just going off and you want to kind of do your own, but like you only start understanding once you have your own family and your own kids. And then you
You
start.
should. You hopefully start to look at things differently once you got your own kids.
Yeah, you hopefully, yeah. But for the most part, I can't say for the most part because, like, but I would think that you would want to start looking the straight and narrow once your kids come into play with everything.
You realize it ain't all about you.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead, Brandon. Close this one out for us, Brandon.
Oh no, I don't disagree with anything y'all said. I mean, y'all basically nailed it on the head. The kids are gonna basically do what you do. You know what I'm saying? So if you want them to exhibit good habits, you have to start exhibiting those good habits yourself, and that's something that I'm learning along the way as well. So the good study habits, the discipline and stuff. Discipline is something that I still work on with myself. I got a mind that goes this way, that way. Hey, stick to the task at hand. My lady gets on me about not being able to multitask, but a part of that is just me trying to retrain myself to be disciplined and stick with something to the end. Like, hey, here's what I got to do, and I got to finish that. So, yeah, I agree with all y'all said, man. I did see one interesting thing as I did, looked up some stuff about the Black family structure, but as we may well know that like marriage, the institution of marriage, whether you believe in it or not, but those couples that tend to get married, they tend to create better environments for their children to succeed. I'm not married yet, but I found it very interesting that the statistics show that people are less likely from all races at this point, white and Black in particular, they're less likely to get married now than they were, back in the day. And that's just speaking, from a man marrying a woman standpoint. As we discussed earlier,
But that comes from, again, they watch what you do. If
right.
you got 5 kids by 5 women and then marry nobody, that's what the son grows up
and they're
thinking
gonna do
is
that.
Cool. That's what the daughter grows up thinking is like, well, you ain't supposed to commit to nobody. My dad never did. My mom never did. Like, it's the same shit.
And it's like, and I just want to say, people they might not agree with it, but like it improves their economic standpoint. So whether you want to get married or not, if you do and you got your shit straight, it puts them in a better environment. That's all I want to say.
One thing before we switch the topic up here, that Mike said that I forgot to touch on, about the mental health situation.
Yeah.
People be like scared to admit the shit's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
When you see these red flags at 6 months old and you go, nah, my daughter cool, my son's cool, you got to be willing to have these honest conversations and say, shit might not be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe he needs to go to this doctor and get this shit checked out so that we know if something is fine. Because you having too much pride to admit something is wrong with your child will fuck your child up longer than it is fucking up your little ego.
True.
All right, now let's talk about the Off the Record podcast, OTR. Quan, if I'm tuning in to OTR, what am I getting?
Yeah, man, you're gonna get 4 brothers that are influential, that are intellects, man, that have been around, that have seen some things, some great things, some real life situations, and we're a platform that's local, DMV based, and what you're gonna see, man, is 4 brothers giving you honest perspectives, day in and day out.
I fucked this up because I'm supposed to do this every episode. Let the listeners know where y'all coming from. My bad.
Oh, it's all good, man. We come from the DMV, man. We're coming straight from Columbia, Maryland, but we're around the Baltimore, Maryland area. So right outside of the city, the county line. That's where we're at.
I like to get that out there in the national hype, baby. You know what I'm saying? I like to get that out there.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to throw this one to Mike. Mike, what is something that you want to accomplish with the podcast that y'all haven't accomplished yet?
Yo, I mean, we was talking offline, we got to move this thing forward. Like you put it perfectly. I'm trying to make this thing a mortgage. You know what I'm saying? So,
Copy.
It's I think that's our next step. I mean, we've been on a break for about 3 months. We trying to take the show in a different direction and multiple different ways and trying to find something to come with new. And I think we got that. But, it's time to, we did it for a year or so, straight, just us getting on there, having fun with it. But now it's like, yo, this could be a business. This can make some money. So let's do that. Let's still have fun with it, but let's get paid for the fun. Let's get paid for the platform. Let's get paid for this information or this banter we putting out there to the people that's for free right now. So that's my next move for OTR. I hope that's what we get it going with.
All right, now Brandon, I tune in to OTR. I'm a new listener. What's the episode I gotta go to?
That's a good question.
I'm 4 years in this shit. You know what I'm
saying? that's a good question.
I'm locked, loaded, and always ready to go, baby.
Oh man. There's so many good ones. I think one of our earliest ones, the Man Weave joint. Actually, we put that out.
That was our first one.
Yeah,
Man Weave was the first
Man Weave joint.
So you say episode 1 is the one that they should go to?
Start from the beginning, Man Weave. That's that's where you go get us at our rawest. I think our best material though is probably some of the latest stuff that we put out as we kind of perfected the craft over the year. So I would say start us off on the Man Weave joint, see where we at, and then come back, look at one of our more recent joints. We put out a couple of joints before we went out on break. The Valentine's Day joint. We did shoot. What else did we do, Mike? What did we do right before that?
We did white students at HBCUs.
That one's a good one too. Those are the last two we put out before we went to break. So yeah. I'd go with those.
All right, y'all. This is something. Shout out to Alex too, because Alex ain't here. This is something. I hope y'all don't hear my daughter crying in the background, y'all. If y'all doing this audio, my bad.
You a dad.
Shit I could do about that.
Right.
Business, brother.
This is no doubt. I'm saying you get this shit raw and uncut. It's always explicit. There's always explicit tags on my joints. This is one thing I say to y'all. Same shit that I said to shouts out to the shit. It's better this way, because they took a break too, and I'm trying to pull them back in. Y'all had a year of consistency. Don't lose your fan base. Don't lose your listeners. You take a break to get your shit together. Like I said, you don't just jump out the jet doing some bullshit, but do not make sure y'all get back out there and keep doing shit.
Yeah. Yo, that's why honestly, like I told the fellas, like, and it's we appreciate you for having us on and even wanting us on, because like I'm like, yo, we gotta do this. Like this would be something that'll get us off the snide, because once you stop
this is me getting you to scratch the itch.
Yeah. Once you stop doing something, it's hard. It's hard to get going. So I mean, shout out to Tam from Tam to the Break of Dawn. Like she always, like every week, she like, yo, this is week such this is week such and such without an OTR episode. Like what's going on? So shout out to everybody that's checking on us and stuff like that. But now I was telling these dudes, like, it's important that we get this episode with you done, because we need, shake off some of that rust and get it going again, man.
People want it, like you just said, Tamara hitting you. Shout out to Tamara. She was on the episode. We did the snowfall recap. Mm-hmm. You got it. People want to hear from you, which is why I kept saying, yo, come on, we gotta get this in. We gotta get this in. We gotta get this in, because people want to hear from you. Don't ever just you gotta always think at first when you start this shit off, we all rough in the beginning. Because we all just screaming in the wind. But at some point, something that you're saying is helping somebody get through their day, their week, or whatever. And you gotta keep that in mind, that everything ain't always about you. Just like you say, you have kids and you realize the shit ain't about me, it's about these kids. It's not always about you. Somebody might really need to hear the shit that Quan went through. Somebody might really need to hear the shit that Brandon went through, because they're going through the same exact thing, and it's gonna help them get through their situation.
That's a fact.
But appreciate y'all for coming on. Shouts out to the OTR podcast. That's episode 21. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at I am Hympe. That's HYMPE. Where can the listeners follow y'all at?
Man, you can follow me on Twitter at OTR_Mike. That's my individual page. Then the pod is OTR_pod. We on Instagram, we on Twitter, we on Facebook. Look us up, man. We all there. OTR_pod, and then the OTR_podcast on Instagram. We got all of our handles on there. So check us out, man.
All right, y'all. That's episode 21. We are out.